According to some alternative theorists, the Taş Tepeler group of 12 monolithic sites are highly unusual, not only because it puts the birth of modern man back tens, potentially even hundreds of thousands of years, but also several of the sites are aligned to a star system in a manner that suggests that an advanced civilization existed here in prehistory, and that civilization may not have been entirely from Earth, with its inhabitants not entirely human. Across the Middle East and in other parts of the world, there are archaeological anomalies that hint at the existence of an advanced pre-human civilization, one that may have flourished long before recorded history. These anomalies, scattered across the ancient ruins of Jordan, Syria, Egypt, Iraq, and beyond, not only imply that ancient man was way more technologically and culturally sophisticated than the history books suggest, but that he shared the earth with equally intelligent beings who may not even be from this earth. One such ancient ruins is in Turkey's Göbekli Tepe. Located in southeastern Anatolia, Göbekli Tepe is now at the center of growing controversy. On one side, critics have accused local archaeologists of mishandling the excavation of this fragile site. On the other, more extreme voices claim there is a deliberate cover-up, orchestrated to bury the truth about our forgotten past in ways that will completely rewrite human history. Because Göbekli Tepe isn't just an ancient temple. Like other sites in the region, it suggests that civilized humans may have walked the earth far earlier than our textbooks admit. And perhaps more disturbingly, that they may have wielded technology far beyond our own, means of travel, communication, or even foresight into future events. This raises an unsettling question. What if Earth has undergone multiple resets? Events that completely reset civilization each time humanity reached a certain threshold. Catastrophic events that wiped almost all traces of their existence from Earth. And if this happened more than once, it could mean that humanity is not just older than we think, but far older. Tens or even hundreds of thousands of years older. At its sister site, Karahan Tepe, things get even stranger. Recent discoveries point toward the existence of hidden priesthoods or ancient orders, institutions that may have survived quietly in the shadows for millennia. So what's really going on here? Could there be a global effort by powerful institutions to hide not only the true age of human civilization, but also keep buried disruptive information concerning how technologically advanced we really were, and evidence of possible non-human involvement? In 1994, a Kurdish shepherd named Savak Yildiz accidentally made a discovery in the ruins of Göbekli Tepe that helped rewrite our understanding of Turkey's ancient history, and as we will show, possibly the entire history of humanity. Yildiz uncovered a set of two sculpture-like objects buried beneath what was merely considered a Byzantine-era cemetery. This initial discovery led to further investigation and the eventual recognition of Göbekli Tepe as a significant archaeological site.
The Neolithic site, which translates to Belly Hill in Turkish, is 2 times older than Stonehenge and contains a series of elaborate circular enclosures constructed of massive T-shaped limestone columns. Many of the pillars feature intricate carvings of abstract symbols and wild animals, including lions, foxes, gazelles, and birds.
Based on everything we know about how modern civilization got its start, this location simply should not exist. The excavation team learned that the entire location of this Byzantine-era cemetery was not at all what it seemed when evidence of a far older civilization began to surface. At first, the new dating of Göbekli Tepe was pushed back to before the Byzantine era, then further back by another 10,000 years, meaning that our entire timeline for the development of human civilization is extremely wrong. According to the archaeologist Enrique Agostinho, If by 10,000 BC Göbekli Tepe was this advanced a civilization, what was going on in Egypt or Iberia? What were people doing during all his time in between? Were they just savages? Or could it be that many of those sites are all also older? This means that if humans with our level of intelligence have been on Earth way longer than what the science books theorize, then how advanced did they become before being erased from history? This is why in all archaeological circles, from the fringe to the mainstream, Göbekli Tepe is so important. Its construction is anachronistic in nature. What is built here is simply too advanced for Neolithic man, inevitably drawing links to the ancient Sumerians, and in ways you would least expect it, which we will come back to later. More interestingly, its seemingly sudden abandonment coincides with the Younger Dryas 12,000 years ago, a cataclysmic event that plunged the planet into a new ice age, triggering what some theorists say could have been a global reset, erasing a number of ancient civilizations at various stages of development in the process, including civilizations that surpassed our 21st century world, upending our understanding of the history of human development. So, is there a coordinated effort to obscure the true age of humanity? Historians and anthropologists often place the dawn of civilization around 12,000 years ago. But if that's not accurate, we need to ask three questions. 1. When did human development actually begin? 2. If early humans lacked such advancement, did non-human intelligences play a role? And if so, 3. How far would a global effort go to keep that story from ever being told? In 2017, more than 2,000 miles from Göbekli Tepe, archaeologists at Jebel Irhoud in Morocco unearthed 16 new fossils of early Homo sapiens displaying what they called modern traits. Previously, the oldest known fossils of our species were dated to around 200,000 years ago. This discovery pushed that timeline back by an additional 100,000 years. Why is that significant? Because it expands the window for when Homo sapiens first emerged and underscores how much we still don't understand about the true development of human history, making the idea of early intelligence at sites like Göbekli Tepe far less implausible than it once seemed. With tangible evidence now placing humans in Morocco 300,000 years ago, what was once dismissed as fringe archaeology is now becoming part of the scientific mainstream. This brings us to the second component. According to some alternative theorists, Göbekli Tepe's unusual features may be evidence of ancient alien technology. Technology they believe could be studied and even reverse engineered. From above, the layout of the site is said to correspond to the Pleiades star system. At ground level, the site consists of several rings of massive T-shaped stone pillars, each carved with animal figures. At the center of these circles stand two pillars positioned like an archway. Some believe this arch represents the remnants of a kind of gateway. These theorists argue that discoveries at Göbekli Tepe and at several other ancient sites across Turkey have made the region a growing point of interest for Western powers, due to the belief that advanced technologies lie buried beneath these ruins. Some even claim this technology may trace back to the ancient Sumerians. The Sumerians, based in what is now modern-day Iraq, were among the earliest known advanced civilizations. For a time, they worshipped beings known as the Anunnaki, giant, human-like deities. However, popular writers like Zecharia Sitchin, who apparently has been cancelled now, claim that the Anunnaki were not literal gods, but extraterrestrials who helped build, develop, and transform early Sumerian culture into a technologically advanced society. Those who believe these same extraterrestrials exist have drawn speculative links between them and a race of lizard-like entities, being said to have either conducted scientific experiments on early humans or, in some accounts, been the actual lizard race that merely took the form of the ancient Sumerian deities. It's a vague hypothesis that shifts depending on who's telling it. But the point is this: here is where we find the thread connecting the Maltese elongated skull mystery and those Jordanian Black Desert embryos, those massive petroglyphs carved into the desert floor. On the 26th of September 2023, the mysterious Middle East received an email from a group of Spanish archaeologists working on a project deep in the Jordanian Black Desert. At first it appeared like a prank, but this and the subsequent emails contained satellite imagery and ground photos of massive basalt petroglyphs, shapes unmistakably resembling reptilian embryos, spread throughout multiple locations across the desert floor. Of course, on the surface, this discovery has very little to do with the finds at Turkey's Göbekli Tepe, nor its sister site Karahan Tepe. But what initially seemed like a strange but harmless Jordanian archaeological anomaly quickly spiraled into the mysterious events surrounding the passing of a Jesuit priest in Tunisia, 1907, an urban legend concerning the disappearance of an entire class of schoolchildren and their teachers in Malta in 1940, and what some interpret as the ritualistic desecration of a 17-year-old German tourist in Malta in 2016. All three tragedies, 110 years apart, are connected to individuals or entities known as the Serpent priests, figures with elongated skulls, possibly ritualistically deformed to mimic snake deities. But the mystery did not end there. The skulls not only look remarkably similar to discoveries made in ancient Kurdistan, but also the discovery in Palestine of a serpent-headed idol linked to Baal. Now, to watch that episode, go to the description box below, as this left us with one question. Are all these links coincidental, or is this evidence of an organization that spans millennia right across the Mediterranean to ancient Persia? And if so, how far back does this cult go? Well, to help answer that, we need to first go to Turkey's Göbekli Tepe. Now, before we move on to snake cults, let's play devil's advocate for 1 minute 16 seconds. There's no denying that Göbekli Tepe challenges mainstream academic assumptions. And as we've mentioned, many in fringe circles believe there's an active effort to keep certain discoveries at the site from public view, an idea amplified by some of the most prominent voices in our alt history space. Yet a number of mainstream archaeologists, including those open to the site's more unconventional, potentially supernatural possibilities, argue that the slow pace of excavation stems not from secrecy, but from years of institutional mismanagement. Both these fringe and mainstream critics from within academia point to poor oversight. Trees planted over unexcavated areas, important work postponed indefinitely, and significant findings deferred to future teams. Complicating things further, even when archaeologists follow proper procedure, influential amateur enthusiasts with large platforms still may often misinterpret these actions, mistaking perceived opacity for deliberate obstruction, and in doing so, weakening their own case for a hidden past by revealing a limited grasp of archaeological practice. Now, from our perspective as non-archaeologists and just a researcher, while these criticisms are valid, they do not invalidate Göbekli Tepe's potentially anomalous nature. But getting stuck in the back and forth over whether a cover-up exists risks missing the wider picture, because beyond the excavation debates lies a body of fringe interpretations that place Göbekli Tepe within a much older and darker narrative that's virtually ignored. This is not just about how old human civilization is, but something way more terrifying. This brings us to a fourth component, and perhaps the deadliest: the mystery of Karahan Tepe. Just 35 kilometers from Göbekli Tepe, this site may be even older and more architecturally advanced. Here, archaeologists have uncovered a chamber lined with carved human heads, phallic totems, and a seated man clutching his member, dubbed the shaman. But what's most unsettling about Karahan Tepe isn't only its link to a wider network known as the Taş Tepeler, 12 megalithic sites of which Göbekli Tepe is the flagship, that all appeared to have emerged simultaneously out of nowhere, hinting at an ancient order or religion, but also its possible connection to an ancient snake cult. While Göbekli Tepe makes us question how long technologically sophisticated early humans were on Earth, Karahan Tepe forces us to ask, did those humans worship serpent-like entities? And are those beings connected to other serpent-based religions that emerged across the Mediterranean at vastly different times in history? And could those entities have been technologically advanced enough to assist Neolithic man? At Karahan Tepe, a particularly striking feature is a large carved human head with a long snake-like body or tail. This has led to symbolic interpretations tied to ancient serpent mythology. Some fringe interpretations claim Karahan Tepe was a center for serpent or reptilian cult worship, possibly linked to Sumerian depictions of Ningishzida or Enki, both associated with serpents, as well as Neolithic fertility rites, where the serpent symbolized rebirth and the cycle of life. Others compare it to the Ubaid culture of ancient Iraq, which produced figurines with reptilian or snake-like features. Now, most professional archaeologists caution against reading too much into the serpent symbolism at Karahan Tepe without more context. They rightly note the site is still under excavation, and there's no definitive evidence yet of a structured snake cult. And many carvings are abstract or stylized, making any 21st century interpretation extremely speculative. However, if we accept that ancient humans might have reached industrial levels on par with us, and perhaps worshipped symbolic or even literal snake-like humans, science may go some way to supporting this. Archaeology reveals serpent cults across different eras and continents, and as for ancient civilizations, an August 2022 Scientific American article by Stephen Ashley cites work by NASA's Gavin Schmidt and astrophysicist Adam Frank, where they state that today's warming leaves the same chemical fingerprints as in prehistory. If those fingerprints had industrial causes rather than natural, Earth may have borne multiple technological civilizations across its 4.5 billion year history, meaning the same conditions we experience today could have existed hundreds of thousands or even millions of years ago, allowing entire civilizations to rise and vanish with almost no trace. If they existed for roughly the same amount of time as we have, they would leave nothing more behind than faint chemical traces, scattered rogue structures, and perhaps a handful of symbols or carvings preserved, such as in the most relatively recent ancient civilizations of Egypt, the Levant, Persia, and Turkey's Taş Tepeler. Andrew Collins, one of the leading names in alternative archaeology, connects Taş Tepeler's serpent carvings to the Watchers of Enoch, the Nephilim, and the Anunnaki, and sees them as part of a cosmic serpent language, inscribed in both the stars and in ancient structures. Sites like Göbekli Tepe and its sister Karahan Tepe, he argues, were part of a post-Ice Age civilization whose serpent symbolism evolved into later traditions, from Gnostic serpent religions to Hebrew myth. So perhaps from our perspective, even connecting to our serpent priests of Malta, perhaps. Collins also speaks of a prehistoric cult of the cosmic serpent, whose iconography reappears across cultures with no known links. Here, if the serpent body was a star map, perhaps it functioned as an ancient navigation system pointing to stargates, aligned with cosmic coordinates. Some researchers speculate that such gateways lie in the Middle East, with the ziggurat of Ur in Iraq and Göbekli Tepe among the most often cited locations. Technology not just tens of thousands of years old, but potentially millions. Ultimately, as improbable and fantastical as these theories become, one thing seems certain. Not only is there a stronger connection between some kind of theoretical, global, reptile-focused cult that may or may not be non-human, but also the verifiable truth that ancient man has been on Earth far longer than mainstream archaeology is yet willing to admit. But with each passing year, more evidence emerges. So the question remains, how far back does human civilization truly go? To help answer that, we're heading next to the Gulf, to the land of the two seas, otherwise known as Al-Bahrain, a country that's typically ignored in these discussions, but where the secrets behind the oldest mystery in humankind may still lie. Until then, what's your opinion about Turkey's archaeological work and the controversy behind it? And how sobering is it to know that in the broader scale of how old our planet is, our modern civilization barely registers as significant on the entirety of its timeline, and that theoretically there could have been more advanced civilizations that have come and gone before us? Leave a comment and share your thoughts. And if you missed the last episode on the Nabateans and Petra that deals with the cities of ancient Arabia that have also been lost to time and their connections to modern Djinn encounters and ancient Quranic giants, check the description box or pinned comment for the link. Inshallah, we'll see you in the next one.